And I'm W8UPB Lynn, and I live in Hoxseyville. Anybody know where Hoxseyville is? It's quite the place. All right, we are called to order. Brandy, you're up.
The minutes of the February 1st meeting, called to order at 6:30. We did intros, we read the minutes and passed them, we read the financials and passed them. Lynn noted that if anybody contacted them about media contacts or information, to please let him know so that we avoid conflicting information. We are looking for a media chair. Gordy and Bill were going to the TC swap. I assume others were, but we got the flyers to Lynn. We have some open dates for presentations if anybody wants to do one. And Gordy said that the 440 machine was back up. They repaired a jumper. We talked about swap and card checker. It's 75 of 98 FT8 contacts in January for Gordy. Congratulations. Wow. And we did a Parks on the Air presentation. Meeting adjourned at 7:28 p.m.
Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Gordy. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Boy, you narrowly got approved there. Good job.
I can be impeached.
Please don't impeach her.
We will always approve.
That sounded like an offer.
Yeah, okay, let's see here.
Yeah, then you'd be up next.
No, sir.
All right, Lee?
Yep. Let's see here. For income, we have $100 for gifts, $70 in dues, $42 for the 50/50, $249 so far for the swap. Total income of $461. Expense, $23.26 for the phone for the tower, and thank Bob Beneri for taking care of that for us. And then there's miscellaneous expense of $63.60, giving a total of $86.86. So we started out at $29.38 and we ended up with $3,312. So there's a nice increase. Last year, just to let you know, the total income was $433, so we had a little bit more income, a little more expense this time. So we ended up with an ending balance of $33.12 compared to last year of $35.77. So we're kind of cruising along pretty good. We've got one more table reservation, not total tables, but one additional table reservation form in, one more than we had last year at this time.
No.
So, I keep checking the mailbox, nothing in the last week. They'll start coming in. So there is the, the other sheet gives the detail. If you have any questions on any of the detail, just, speak up.
Well,
Yep, there it is.
I like how you put my $23.26 under utilities.
Isn't that what it is?
Yes, it is.
I try to please.
all right, we have a motion to accept the financial report.
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It passed. Way to go, Lee. Thank you so much.
Thanks for passing it.
Okay.
Failed the ordeal.
Yes, you did.
President's
Thanks,
report.
Ron.
I got a lot here, so pay attention, and most of it is even somewhat important.
So thinking about that.
Skywarn training. I'm going to read your email. This is from Keith, right up here, airport manager. And by the way, I've asked him to be our club's emergency coordinator. He hasn't refused, so I think that we can consider him. Here's the email. I was talking with Randy Boyk, who had a conversation with Pat Bach from the National Weather Service. He's the warning coordination meteorologist for the National Weather Service at the Gaylord office. Pat mentioned that he would like to hold a Skywarn spotter class for the Wexaukee Amateur Radio Club.
Oh, cool.
It is a double win when the National Weather Service gets amateur radio operators trained, because we have a broader reach with a built-in communication capability. We would also like to open it up to the public, which could potentially lead to more club members. So, and he wants to do it before June. Here's my proposal. I don't know if we need a vote or just, yeah, that's a good idea or what, but let me know. May 2 club meeting, May 2nd club meeting. Here's how it would go. Very short business meeting. Get our business taken care of real fast. And then from 6:45 to about 8:30 would be Skywarn training from the National Weather Service. The other option would be to pick another date and try to find another location. What do you think? Give me some input, anybody.
First option's good to me.
It's just a big push, that's the meeting before the swap, so we're gonna really have to do a lot of I-dotting and T-crossing in April.
We're going to do our swap preparation in the April meeting. And we've kind of got that down so that it's pretty routine, but it's a good point. That's why we're going to do it in April. If we do this on May 2nd at the meeting, I'm not going to hold you to it, but give me a show of hands of those who would probably be here for the training. And by the way, okay, the National Weather Service recommends, even if you've had training, this seems a little excess, but I think they say every 2 or 3 years you should renew it. There's new technology, new things going on. So, okay, if there's no strong objection, and I don't see any, our May 2 meeting will be Skywarn training. I'm inviting some other groups, the Rotary, Lions Club, and some others, if you think of any, who might be interested in sending some people here to be trained. All right.
But we are doing it in this room here.
Right here. Yep. And I think you said this will hold 60?
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll have 60, but I think we'll be okay. Also, this is your night, Keith. A lot of you probably heard this, but the airport did get that $1 million grant. Good job. Our club is considered one of the partner organizations, which means we will be able to use it. I'm going to a meeting next Thursday morning with other partner organizations, and we're all to bring lists of what are some ways we might like to use the facility once it's built so that they know how to equip it. Here's just a few that I've come up with. Field day, club meetings, our annual picnic, giving VE license exams, using introduction to ham radio to youth groups or whatever. If you think of any other ideas before next Thursday, shoot them to me or give them to me tonight. Make sure I write them down or I will forget.
Would we be able to use a closet for storage?
That's part of the reason we're having the meeting next week, is to gain requirements from all the different groups. And right now, I see that that will be an important group, because if the Civil Air Patrol uses it, they'll probably want some storage up in the pavilion. The Amateur Radio Club, hopefully we would have storage for that.
Yeah, well, we currently have our
We have our
storage unit.
storage unit, it's right
but
down the road.
One of the issues is getting into it in an emergency. Not everybody has access, so it makes
Right.
it, if we had some place where whoever got there first could get equipment out and.
Right, well, and Randy Warc is, who is the emergency management
For the county.
director for the county. He's one of the stakeholders too, because he wants to have that facility potentially used as an alternate incident command center. So everything will need to have quick and ready access. So those are the types of things we need to think out and make sure that the facility has the capability.
By the way, Keith has also graciously agreed to put up a 60-foot tower with an 11-element beam on top. And the latest Kenwood transceiver,
Why don't you get a real radio?
the latest Kenwood transceiver, and a full kilowatt amplifier. Thank you, Keith, that was really nice. All right,
It'll be up next week?
yeah, we'll need a few to help.
Yes, sir.
Just a reminder, the spring fling is Tuesday, April 6th, 6 p.m. at Lakeside Charlie's. 6 p.m. because we still have people who work and they need time to get out of work and get there.
Thank
The
you.
sign up will be tonight, or if we have time next club meeting, self-explanatory.
Will there be an email to give us all these pertinent dates?
Yeah.
But I don't have anything to write with.
Swap setup, a little bit of change. Every year we say, be there at 4 o'clock. We show up at 4 o'clock on Friday, and the track team is using the gym, and we sit around on our hands for an hour. So we're gonna say swap setup is at 5, and as an incentive, I'll make sure there's pizza for at least half of us, so.
Last year was Subway, come on.
No, we're upgrading this year. All right. Also, just a personal privilege, I'm looking for a code practice oscillator to borrow if anyone has one. I have to make a presentation in May to a group, and I'd like to show them how CW sounds. So if you have one, let me know.
Jake, I think I might have one. I know it's straight
You got one in the car?
I think.
Well, that'd be great.
in the car.
I've got a Heath kit here, tablet here,
Oh,
that
okay.
I used to teach people Morse code with. I think it still works.
All right. This next announcement is kind of bittersweet. The sweet part of it is we have a new newsletter editorial team. Gordy and Cheryl Baldwin have agreed to be the editors of our newsletter. I think Cheryl's going to be the publisher, and Gordy is going to report to her.
The way it's always been.
And what I didn't know is they did this for the club some 30 years ago, and Cheryl has won a lot of awards for her newsletters.
I guess maybe.
The bitter part about it is the reason. As you know, Tom, KDADOA, has been really struggling with health issues. And I had a long conversation with him this week, and he just is unable to do it. He's on dialysis. As he told me, dialysis is not a cure. It doesn't fix anything. It keeps you alive. And on the days of dialysis, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he's completely wiped out. And the recovery days, he says, I just don't have any energy. So, if you wouldn't mind, here's a thank you card. Put a little note, or write a little note, or just put your name.
Sure.
And I'll make sure he gets it. You need a pen?
Yeah, I gave these guys my pen, so
Okay.
thanks.
So, and if you're the praying type, keep Tom and Sandy in your prayers. This is a rough deal for them. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I know.
So, all right. Now, open mic. Let's first, Gordy, age and rank. Van has a couple of items.
You may be interested if you're planning to go to Dayton. Don't forget that there is a bus goes from Ann Arbor to Dayton and back, in case you would rather not drive after Ann Arbor. So, and if you need the email address, yell at me. And another thing, on April 8th, the sun has decided to have an eclipse. So they would like to have amateur radio operators on the air at those times, because you can learn a lot about how propagation goes during an eclipse and how directions and all. So if you need any more information, scream. And if you don't want any more information, you can still scream, but don't at me.
Thank you, Van. Gordy?
I'm going to stand on my Mars radio soapbox here for just a minute. Every year we have a crossband test where you listen on Mars frequencies, and they'll give you an amateur frequency to talk on, to communicate with them. It's all crossband. I've got all the locations,
Sweet.
the frequencies they're going to use, so if anybody's interested, I'll hand you one of these and
Aye.
Why don't you pass the whole thing around and take one if you want one and give the extras back to Gordy? Thanks,
this is
Gordy.
all HF, no VHF or UHF, all HF.
When is it?
11th of May.
Thanks, Gordy. And
Is any of it gonna be on 10 meters?
Yes.
Okay.
And additional club members, Tim, you're Mars, right?
Gateway.
Anybody else? All right, if you're interested, see Gordy. All right,
And if you got any questions, call me.
we don't need to go through the club activities. You know what they are, and you're faithfully being a part of all of them. Net controls, let's see if we
Do
can.
that next month.
We can do that next month? Yeah, we can, you're right, we have a meeting before that. Old business. Survey results. I'll give you a quick, and then if anybody wants to look at all the surveys, but just some interesting things. Years licensed. How many years were you licensed? Anywhere from 1 year to 58 years. Who do you think has been a licensed ham for 58 years?
Van, I'll bet. Van.
Van, how many years?
61.
You must not have filled out a survey, because I didn't find 61. I found 58. Okay, 61 years a ham. I was the one at 58. Class of license, we've got 3 technicians, there were 20 total surveys. 3 technicians, 8 generals, 9 extras. Favorite mode, single sideband with digital a very close second. Average time per week on the air, this one surprised me pleasantly. More than 60 minutes was by far the majority. ARRL member, 15 yes, 5 no. Other hobbies, what do you think the top other hobby was? RC flying. This next one is disturbing. In second place was shooting. Yeah, they're shooting down the planes.
Shooting the potato gun.
Yeah.
These shotguns are for.
We actually had an idea for a fundraiser for cams at your big event. For $10 a shot, you let anybody use that potato gun to shoot down a plane that's circling above it. I think it worked. All right. Meeting evaluations. The following received less than the top. Okay, 5 was the top. These received a couple 4s. Club meeting length. I don't know if it means we're too short or too long. Club meeting location. There are a couple that just mentioned that. Programming and our start time. Requested program topics. There were several that wanted more about DXing, and how to work DX. One was very specific. How can I work Australia and New Zealand?
Early morning hours, 40 meters.
Yep.
April 9th.
Another was
How early?
antenna building,
6 p.m.
a program on antenna building.
Gray line.
Pay attention, because if you have any knowledge of these areas, I'd really like you to put on a program. And then main interest in radio, the top one was rag chewing. Rag chewing, just getting on and talking. So I got 2 takeaways from that. One, I think we are a healthy club of members who are quite active in the hobby and who enjoy a variety of ham radio activities. And 2, we can do better. New business. I've got one. And it's another radical change. Our June 6th club meeting, just an idea. There's nothing scheduled for that date, no program. What if we had an introduction to ham radio and spread the word and invite people who are interested in ham radio to come? And we'll have presentations by many of you, short presentations on what's a repeater, and maybe demonstrate with an HT, what's DX, what's Mars, what's field day, and then finish with a question and answer, and then a guest-only raffle. We give them a free raffle ticket, and the winner gets a license manual, ARRL license manual. we have to constantly be trying to get new hams. And one way to do it would be to just bring them here and let them see that you're not all a bunch of weirdos. There are a few.
If we do it in June, we can advertise at the swap and.
Yeah, we can advertise at the swap. I'm pretty sure we can get some support to the newspaper about it, and just open it up and say, if you've ever been interested in ham radio, come to one of our meetings. It's just for you. And if we do that, I'm going to be asking some of you to give a 3 to 4 or 5 minute little presentation. So, any objection to it?
I think they're doing good, yeah.
All right.
I'll even donate a little UV5R.
Would you
A
really?
little bill thing, yep, I sure will.
Well, okay, that's great. And this was some idea I've had for a long time, but I don't know if we can sustain it. You take your test, join the club, pass the test, you get a Baofeng
Yeah, good idea.
for a year. You don't get to keep it, but at least that's going to get you on the air. Probably within a few months, you're going to want to get something else. You turn it back in. But it's not very expensive.
No.
I bought mine for $22,
Yep.
and I'd throw that in the pool too. But it's just another little incentive.
And if you don't own a spectrum analyzer, you won't mind using it.
Yeah, work. Amazing.
So
Get them on the air.
Gordy's going to donate an FT400s to make sure.
I would think about an FT60.
Okay.
Wow, hey, those are nice.
Well, this isn't business or anything, but in going through the shed, I came across the Wexaukee Amateur Radio Club scrapbook. So I'm going to put it over here at the break, which we're about ready to take. It's kind of cool.
No kidding.
This is Northwest Michigan's 3rd annual swap shop, 1963.
Wow.
So here it is.
So that was 1963, that's the third one, so the second one is 62 and the first one is 61, right?
Yeah, but don't ask me to do the math. You
I
lost
know you're a writer, you're not a math editor.
barely that, but so 61 to 2024, what's that?
Lot.
So you have to calculate it.
Oh, that's hard to turn down.
64 years.
Yeah.
63 years.
63, yeah.
Is
Oh.
that what I put on the flyer?
It is. One last thing. At our swap, we're going to have
Looks good.
part of your table with the giveaways.
Right.
We're going to have promoting ham radio and our club. We're going to share the table with you. We're going to have a poster that Steve made for our Wings and Wheels. We're going to have brochures of the ARRL
Bring something.
and an invitation to join our club. You know, we might get a couple club members from that. So, all right, let's take. Yes.
On July, our meeting falls on the 4th. We may want to think about that
Thanks, Clyde.
sometime between now and then.
Okay. Bye. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It does.
Well, good catch. All right, let's take a break, 5 or 6 minutes, get some cookies, some coffee, kibitz,
If
talk amongst
anybody wants
yourself.
a few dozen tickets, we can arrange that.
Meteor burst communications. It's exactly what it sounds like. When meteors come into the atmosphere, they ionize the atmosphere and create a plasma. That plasma becomes opaque to radio waves. Just like the ionosphere gets dense during the day, and you can't use your low bands as well as you can your high bands that bounce off that. These act as a reflector for radio waves, up to 1,400 miles depending on the band and time of day. So it's something that's been there. It was originally, well, I'll cover that. It's originally started earlier. 1953, it was entertained by the military first and then amateurs to work on 10 and 15 meters, and they didn't have a lot of luck. They discovered that the hams discovered that 2 and 6 meters worked much better. And it was originally done with CW. And because of the time it takes to send your call on CW, most of those meteor trails disappeared. And so it was a real challenge back then to get a meteor contact on 6 or 2 meters using CW. You're always looking for a blue wizard. And that is a very big, very long meteor trail. At some point in your life, you may have seen one.
Yeah.
I've had several that I've made contacts off of, where my transmission, his transmission, my repeat, his repeat, all happened on one meteor trail. Often it goes across multiple meteor trails. So a contact like that could be done in 30 to 40 seconds or less, whereas they might take an hour waiting for the next meteor to come through, but you got to stay with them. So, but a blue wizard is what they call those big ones, and you can see them in the graphs, and all of you have the software for this already. So. K1JT, our friend Joe Taylor, he gave us our WSJT, which is up to like revision 10 now, I believe.
Yeah.
And in that, there is a protocol called FSK 441. Most of you have probably never used it.
No.
441 is specifically for meteor scatter.
Oh.
It compresses everything at 147 characters per second with noise character correction. And so if you've got a meteor trail that's good, you can go back and forth in less than 4 seconds.
Wow.
And so it's compressing all that in there and doing error checking. Anybody that has downloaded it for FT8, I know a lot of people use JTDX now, which is directly copied off of WSJT. Good program, bigger screen, easier to use. But some of the modes aren't there, like Whisper and this one. So you have to have the WSJT dash whatever it is now, X. And that's the software to use.
Oh.
This goes into the rates and sampling and one thing or another. If you want to dig into it, just look up. This is a proprietary protocol, and so you can. There's a lot out there on it. MSK stands for minimum shift keying. It's continuous phase shift keying with equal shifts and half the baud rate. Baud rate is approximately 2,000. Uses 144 bits and a modulation tone of 1,000 and 2,000 hertz, and it transmits symbols at a keying rate of 2,000 baud. So it can happen pretty quick if you got a good meteor trail to work off of. If you're working, we've used MSK also for Aurora. If you got good Aurora, you can use that with this mode to get contacts. And so any strong, I mean, we've all seen those nights when the sky's red. Those are nights you can really kick butt with this.
Wouldn't your Aurora be more stable than this would be, though?
No, because Aurora moves. It's got ripples in it. It gets watery.
Oh, okay.
It can be here 1 minute and gone the next. It's there longer than a meteor trail, but it can be sketchy to play with. I only got like 6 contacts using Aurora with this. I got 34 on CW using Aurora. So it's can be hit and miss, but it can be done. 6 meters, 2 meters, 70 centimeters. Those are the bands. 6 meters being the preferred band. It's like FT8, only faster and less information. It takes a very similar setup to what you're doing now. Anybody in here raise your hands if you're not doing FT8. Okay, everybody else has already got their computer set up for doing meteor scatter. You can do FT8, you can do meteor scatter.
Wow.
Okay, the free software, any interface cables, sideband capable receiver. You can do it with as little as 30 watts. They recommend 100 watts. I run a KW.
Yeah.
So, because it just works more better. And you guys know me, I'm not a QRP kind of guy. I'm QRO all the way through.
What's QRO?
Maximum power.
Max. Okay.
The amplifier's on, Bob. So, and they say 30 to 100 watts. I've never made a contact on anything less than 100. But when you get a good meteor shower, you'd be amazed.
Huh.
It can be any time on any VHF band at a distance to 1,400 miles. takes longer in the evening then. The best time is you get the meteor showers in the early morning, like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when they're, and then into just daylight. And again, you're getting some ionospheric interference. And that increases as the day progresses. So that early morning and like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, those are really great times for meteor scattering. Some of you guys can't sleep in the wee hours, you can be doing meteor scattering. This is the graph that comes with WSJTX, and when somebody's pinging for a contact, you will see these blips. This is one with no blips, this is one with blips. And the more intense it is, the bigger the meteor trail is.
Oh, that's
And this is
cool.
part of WSJTX.
Look at that.
That's a blue whizzer right there. That was multiple contacts from multiple people happening at the same time. If you get a big one like that, you might see 8, 10, 12 prints on your screen at one time.
Wow. He's got his amp turned on.
This is where a guy kept track of it over a period of days in December during a meteor shower. And this again is just a good display of what one of those pings sounds like.
That's cool.
And you can hear them. You turn your volume up and you listen on the frequency, you can hear it. And that's exactly what it sounds like.
Wow.
And so you can hear them happening. Sometimes I'll go up on frequency, won't have the computers and stuff up, and if I listen for 20 minutes and hear more than 2, I turn stuff up, because that means the shower going on.
Cool.
But it's just a pop, a hissing pop. And once you hear it, you'll always know what it is. You guys are all, that are FT8 guys, are all familiar with this screen. And you can see the frequency primarily used is 5257. And there are others that show up in the software. There are several reflectors online. I recommend that you go type meteor scatter. And there are places out there that cater just to guys doing meteor scatter. You can see who's on the air, where they're at in the US, and so on. And it's software you have to load up, but it's worth it if you're going to chase states with it. So, any questions so far?
That's pretty cool.
I'm blowing through this because it has to be timed.
I have one. Can you do this off your phone?
No,
No, it's gotta be a computer?
you gotta have two. Can't get the software on your phone, Rob.
Okay.
You got to have that software, and it takes a computer. These are the 2024 meteor shower dates.
Huh.
I worked 4 stations in January. I worked a station in February, early February. I haven't been on a lot. The Perseus in August is a killer meteor shower, and the Ordnance in October is very good. Geminids can be, but those are the 2 where I get most of my contacts in August and October. And they're in the north and east sky, so it's a fairly quiet way for us to point our antennas. And so now let's talk about that for just a minute. We know it's on 6 meters.
Right.
You know you're using sideband or digital mode. Let's talk antennas. There are guys that got arrays of stacked 6-meter beams, and there's 30 of them, and one thing or another, and they're not working any more stations than a guy with a 3-element beam. A 3-element beam does just as good most of the time.
Wow.
They're getting more gain, they might hear a little bit more. But as far as transmission, you get the wattage out, you get the wattage out.
Amen, brother.
So I have worked it from the cabin using a 6-meter dipole
No kidding.
last August.
Are you familiar with those power electronic antennas, the one that looks kind of like an oval?
Somewhat so.
Yeah, it's a
They're-
6-meter antenna.
they're like a
Works
halo.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a halo.
You
Steve
might-
has one, I've got one.
Yep, you might be surprised.
Ken's
what you can
got
hear.
one.
So these are the showers. These are all online. That's where I got them from. AMSAT keeps track of this too. There's a lot of moon bounce groups, and moon bounce is real similar as far as equipment's concerned, except you're using more power and bigger antennas because it's more directional. With the meteor showers, you just point it in the general direction of where the shower's coming in. When you look them up, they'll tell you where they're at, whether they're horizontal, whether they're high, you know, and you can kind of point your antenna in that direction.
Who are you making your contacts with?
other guys.
No, is it China, Japan?
Oh, no, it's all stateside.
Yeah.
I've never worked outside the United
Yeah,
States
it's
yet.
only 1,200
Not
miles.
that that isn't a possibility,
Okay.
but you got that 1,400-mile limitation. And so, you know, maybe Canada. I've never worked with anybody in Canada, though. It's always been stateside stuff.
Ah,
And it's just because it's a finite area, you both got to be seeing the same meteor
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
for that to work. So that's why you have that distance limitation. Any questions? Here's my first meteor contact. This is the entire conversation. This was done at 2 o'clock, well, 1800, so 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the first time I worked meteor. I did it with 100 watts and my 6-element beam pointed to the south and east. And K1SAX is in Connecticut, I believe. But that's the whole contact.
That's cool.
First one in my logbook. He's a big dog. If you work meteor scatter, eventually you're going to work K1SIX. He's been at it a while. Questions?
Thank you.
Anything? Well, anything about meteor scatter?
It's not about that. If anybody in this room or members wanted a copy of your PowerPoint, how could they get it?
Just email me, I'll mail it to you.
Okay? If you want to get it,
Thank you.
it's a pretty nice presentation.
Sure
I
was,
have a
thank
question
you.
for you, Gordy. You said you're using beams. Can you use like stationary antennas without using a beam, say if it's up like an inverted V or dipole or whatever will happen?
I've worked it on a dipole, so I would say yes, if you can tune it.
So you don't need a beam and a rotor and all that stuff?
Not necessarily.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out.
And in case you wondered,
Big
all but one of those showers is on the back of your agenda.
Bob had a question.
What was that guy's called, that big dog?
K1SIX, Sierra India X-ray. Okay, one more thing. Well, I got a captive audience. This is what I'm proposing the new newsletter to look like.
Yay.
I've kind of poked information in here. You see this shack of the month? My shack can't be there every month. And the point I'm going to make is that this newsletter is only as good as you guys are, and you guys that have done this know that. So I need help. I don't care whether you got one radio and a power supply or a handheld or what you got. Your shack is your shack.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them. Let people see what's out there.
Get one of the L's out of my name. My name.
Oh, A-L-A-N.
My parents wanted me to be able to spell it before I was 10.
Well, this is last year's swap information. I quick copy and pasted things into here. And so this is kind of what I'm proposing it look like. And these are all articles that I pulled out of QST. Put the omnibus net in there, you know, that type of thing. But this is only as good as the information you guys give me. And if you want to see something, the only way we're going to see it is if you get it to me. You all have my email address. Does the club have an email address?
Yes, I think it does, and I think we just changed it because it was my email, and I started getting some really strange emails and spam and
Sad.
stuff like click here and
Yeah, I know.
This Wexaukee ARC@gmail.com was one that I made up, but I think it's available.
let me double check and
You
see.
double check,
There
and if
was one,
If there's not one, I will make one.
okay.
And that way there's a repository for people to send things to the newsletter.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Does Gordy have the master email list from
Yes.
Tom?
yes,
sent it to
Tom
me.
sent it to him.
And again, I'll be sending out something, we'll get the first one put together. I'll harangue somebody to give me a picture of their shack and a description of their equipment, and we'll kick it off in April.
Who would like to volunteer right now to be the first shack in the new newsletter? Come on. I'll even come to your place and take the picture if you want me to.
Come to my shed.
Okay, Tom's gonna be the shack of the month.
Somebody's got to start. And then description of your equipment, what you got, and, you know. All right.
I was gonna say with or without dirty dishes.
Yeah, I'd like to see what it looks like.
I like to see what all your shacks look like.
Dirty dishes.
That's, like I put here, the shack, the equipment that I've found,
Invented a shack.
one thing or another, a little
My
description
shack
about what you've got.
is my 2-meter radio and a power supply. sitting
Anybody
on my
want to add
kitchen
anything?
counter.
Oh, okay.
Anybody want to see anything in the newsletter we can start working on?
Yeah, if you have any ideas, shoot them to Gordy. And again, Cheryl, his boss, has won awards for her work on newsletters, so we've got a pretty good power couple there as long as Gordy behaves and does what he's told.
Well, way back when, we used to do it on a dot matrix printer, and I bought the software, and then some of you guys remember Paul Miller.
Yeah.
Paul Miller threw money at me to pay for some of the software, and then we had to do postage and create a mailing list and labels, and it was a lot of work. This is really kind of easy now. I can just do it, save it as a PDF, which, by the way, that's the format it's going to go out in, is PDF, because it seems like everybody's got it. And I don't have to do address labels and mail and stamps and
Get them printed.
folding, and yeah, well, we used to do all the printing
Lynn, I have
too.
a question for you. The article that I sent to you about the last,
Yeah,
now, if I find an article like that, is that legal to do
you
that?
cannot do it without permission.
No, okay, that's all. It
But usually if it's a nonprofit,
was a good article.
the problem is it's getting to the right person. But if you look at the Atlantic Monthly, there's on the masthead page, they have something about copyright and for permission, contact.
Okay,
That was a really cool article.
okay.
I talked to the ARRL, and they said I could use anything because we're an ARRL affiliated club,
Yeah,
and just give them credit, and you
yeah.
always copy and paste those headers and the authors' names and whatnot, so. And most of this stuff is coming right off their newsletter page on the front, so.
I'll see about digging.
All right, if you like Gordy's program, let him know it right now. Thank you, Gordy.
Thank you.
Those were some of the ones that I did for that short period that I did.
I think we're ready for the reason most of you came anyway. Win big. Win big.
I already had I had the cookies, that's what I came for.
I have one question.
Yes.
Is there any news on the repeater? Do we have any news on the repeater?
What's wrong with it?
Nothing. That works great.
Well,
Did we get a new controller and
Yeah,
everything?
it's not programmed yet. Well, first of all, we couldn't get up the hill, and now that we can get up the hill.
Too late to get into the.
Rob, if you have a complaint about the repeater, call me because I'm a trustee.
Oh, no.
And if
No, I'm not,
and if there's
no.
a problem that I can't handle, it goes to Gordy, my technical expert.
Well, what it is
We're still on the old,
yeah, we're still on the old controller. And the reason for it is that the new one is not very intuitive. I've never programmed anything like it. There's no flow of logic whatsoever. Everything you do is an individual entity that has to be tied relationally back to other individual entities.
Send them back and get your money back.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's just, once it's programmed, it'll be great.
but it's just getting it to be programmed.
It's just getting it to be programmed. That's like I said, it's not intuitive at all. It's nothing like the old one. The old one was easy. This one is not easy.
What brand is it?
The only guy you can get, Arcom.
It's the only brand available. What we had before is no longer available. What we have up there presently, if it dies, we're gonna go back to a CW, whatever is built into the repeater.
Yeah,
So-
CWID.
CWID.
I hope to have it ready by swap time. I'm trying to do it, but every time I get 5 things programmed, I find 6 more that need to be done first. It's just it's a pain in the ass.
The original controller, I programmed that was the RC85, and that was very easy for me to do. I could do it all over the telephone, but this stuff is complicated.
It'll do anything. You look at the list of what it can do, it's amazing. But programming it is another thing altogether.
Give it to AI, it'll do it.
Yeah, AI.
Okay, look at your tickets.
Last 3 digits. 159.
159.
Tim here.
Oh, all right, Tim. Tim's buying. All right, we are adjourned. Hang around if you want.
eat some more cookies, get to know somebody you don't know, and thanks, Gordy.
Welcome.
And remember, if you can think of other ideas beside that tower and beam for our new facility at the airport, let me know.